My dear Capricorn, let's have an honest conversation about your shadow characteristics. Not to dim your light, but because you, of all signs, respect honesty. You understand that knowing where you fall short is not a weakness. It's a strategy. And strategy is something you understand very well. Every sign carries patterns that hold them back. Yours are just particularly well-dressed. They show up in boardrooms and spreadsheets and 5-year plans. They show up in the way you talk to yourself at 2 in the morning when you're convinced you haven't done enough. So let's look at them clearly, the way you prefer to look at everything. Directly, without flinching. The first weakness we need to talk about is your relentless self-criticism. Saturn rules your sign, and Saturn is the planet associated with structure, discipline, and standards. Very high ones. The result is an inner voice that sounds less like a coach and more like a performance review. You hold yourself to a standard that no human being could consistently meet. And when you miss it, which is inevitable, you don't just feel disappointed. You feel like evidence, like proof that you aren't enough. A recognizable moment. You finish a project that others call excellent, and your first thought isn't satisfaction. It's a mental list of everything you could have done better. You're already editing the win before you've let yourself have it. Here is the shift. Set a 2-minute rule. When something goes well, you give yourself exactly 2 minutes to acknowledge it before you move to improvement mode. Set a literal timer if you need to. Write down one thing that worked. Just one. Not 5. Not a paragraph. One sentence in your own handwriting before the critique begins. The second weakness is emotional suppression. Capricorn is an earth sign, and earth signs are oriented toward the tangible, the practical, the things that can be measured and managed. Feelings inconveniently resist all three. So you do what comes naturally to you. You file them. You put them in a drawer labeled "Deal with later," and then you never open the drawer. The problem is that suppressed emotion doesn't disappear. It accumulates. It shows up as tension in your jaw, coldness in your tone, or a slow withdrawal from people you actually care about. People who love you sometimes describe feeling like they're talking to a wall, not because you don't feel things, but because you've gotten so good at not showing it. You feel deeply. You just don't often let anyone see it. The example here is quiet and familiar. Someone you care about asks if you're okay. You say, "Fine." You are not fine. You haven't been fine for 3 weeks. But fine takes less time to say, and time is something you're always trying to save. This is what you can do. Schedule one honest conversation per week with someone you trust. Not a long one. 10 minutes. Use the sentence, "I've been feeling," and finish it out loud. That's the whole assignment. You don't have to solve it. Just say it. The third weakness is an inability to ask for help. You built your identity on self-sufficiency. You've been solving your own problems since you were young enough that other people were still asking their parents to cut their sandwiches. You don't outsource difficulty. You absorb it. And there is real dignity in that. But it tips into a pattern where asking for help feels like confession, like admitting a fault in your architecture. So you stay quiet. You overload. You take on more than any one person should carry, and when the weight shows, you treat it as a personal failure rather than a human limit. A very specific version of this looks like you're overwhelmed at work, a colleague offers to help with part of the load, and you say, "No, I've got it," while internally drowning. You say it automatically, almost before they finish asking. This is how you can counter it. Make a list of 3 tasks you're currently carrying that someone else is capable of doing. Pick one. Delegate it this week. Write the name of the person next to the task before you change your mind. You don't have to explain or justify it. Just hand it over. The fourth weakness is rigidity. Capricorn is a cardinal sign, which means you initiate and lead. But it also means you prefer to do things on your terms and your sequence by your method. Once you've decided how something should be done, deviating from that plan can feel almost physically uncomfortable. You mistake consistency for correctness. And when circumstances change, as they always do, you sometimes keep following the original map even when the road has clearly shifted. This is the person who sticks with a strategy that isn't working because changing it feels like admitting the first decision was wrong. You'd rather be consistent than responsive. The real-life version of this: you've been pursuing a particular goal for 2 years. The conditions around that goal have changed significantly. Others have adjusted. You haven't, not because you're not smart enough to see it, but because pivoting feels too much like surrender. This is what you can do. Once a month, take out a current goal and write down one thing about the situation that has changed since you set it. One thing. Then ask yourself, if I were starting fresh today, would I still choose this exact path? You don't have to change anything yet. Just ask the question honestly. The fifth weakness is difficulty with rest. This one might make you uncomfortable because somewhere along the way you absorbed the idea that rest is something you earn, and the bar for earning it keeps moving. There's always one more thing. One more call, one more task, one more problem to solve before you give yourself permission to stop. Rest, for you, carries an edge of guilt. Like you're cheating on your ambitions. Saturn's association with effort and responsibility has shaped a mindset that treats stillness as stagnation. But the body and mind don't operate like machines, even yours. They need downtime that isn't productive. Not leisure with a goal attached. Just actual rest. The version of this you'll recognize. It's the end of the day, nothing is on fire. You could genuinely stop. Instead, you find something to do. You check the email you already read. You reorganize something that didn't need reorganizing. You manufacture busyness because the alternative, being still, makes you restless in a way that's hard to explain. This is the shift. Block 1 hour in your schedule this week labeled nothing. Not reading. Not a walk for fitness. Not a podcast. Nothing. Sit in a chair. Let your mind wander. If guilt shows up, let it. But don't move. Treat it the way you treat every other appointment. Non-negotiable. Show up for it. So there they are. 5 patterns, all of them very Capricorn, all of them workable. Self-criticism that outlasts the accomplishment. Emotions that get filed instead of felt. A reluctance to accept help that looks like strength but costs you. A grip on the plan that sometimes holds you back from the better path. And a complicated relationship with rest that keeps the engine running until it can't. None of these make you less. They make you human, which is something you occasionally forget. Which one landed the hardest? Was it the moment you said fine when you weren't? The task you still haven't delegated? The hour of nothing you haven't given yourself? Leave a comment below and tell me which weakness resonated most. And if this kind of honest, grounded conversation is useful to you, consider subscribing. There are no shortcuts here, just clear observations and practical next steps, the kind of thing a Capricorn can actually use. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a blessed day.